Hi there. Today we're going to talk about how to respond to your child's misbehavior. As a parent, one of the most challenging things that we experience is how do we respond to our child's misbehavior, or how do we correct their misbehavior? Today we're going to talk about some tools or suggestions that can help you be more effective in responding to your child's misbehavior. Now, what we're going to talk about today, I feel like works especially well for young children, but it also applies to teenagers as well. So the first thing that we need to understand is that everything we do for a reason, or we wouldn't do it. So when we look at our children, oftentimes when they misbehave, we have this thought or belief that maybe because the behavior is, quote, bad, then, our child is bad. But if we change our perception a little bit and look at that everything that we do because we believe that it's going to give us what we want. And again, what we want is, all of us want to feel good. We want to be happy. So our children are doing what they're doing because they don't like where they're at, and they believe that by behaving in a certain way, it's going to give them what they want. Now, the other part of that is we tend to do what works. So if we behave in a certain way and it gives us what we want, even if what we want we get only in the short term, we don't oftentimes pay attention to the long-term consequences. We just look at what that immediate result is. So if we are behaving in ways that give our children what they want, then what we're actually doing is reinforcing that behavior, and it will continue. So there's a parenting program that I would recommend to you if you're struggling with some of your child's misbehaviors. It's called STEP, Systematic Training for Effective Parenting. And in that program, they talk about that there are 4 reasons or goals of a child's misbehavior. The first goal is attention. The second goal would be power or control. The third reason is revenge. And then the fourth reason is just a display of inadequacy. So we're going to talk about those 4 types of behavior and how you can respond to those behaviors in order to change the misbehavior. So if your child is after attention, and all of us want attention, right? The problem is sometimes children learn to get attention through negative ways, through misbehaving. And think about it. Oftentimes as parents, it's easy to ignore our child's positive behaviors, but we focus on their negative behavior. So when they're being good, we ignore them. But when they're doing something that they shouldn't, we jump all over them. So if the child is after attention, just think what we're teaching them. When they're behaving appropriately, we ignore and they don't get the attention. But when they're misbehaving, we give them attention. And so they're getting that reward. So the way to tell if your child needs more attention is to pay attention to how you feel when your child is behaving the way that they do. And what tells us if their goal is attention is we feel annoyed, irritated, minor kind of agitation. And so whenever we're feeling that about our child's behavior, that can be a clue to us to say, okay, my child is wanting more attention. So what's the solution to that behavior? Well, it's to ignore the negative behavior if we can. If it's something that they're doing and we can just leave the room or just not pay any attention to, over time that behavior will go away. If it's a behavior that can't be ignored, then we still don't want to address that behavior. We just want to redirect them to something else. So if they're, say, playing inappropriately with a toy, instead of saying to them, stop doing that, just say, hey, Tommy, or hey, Julie, come over here and help me do this. So I don't give attention to the negative behavior, I just redirect them into something else. And then the next part of addressing that behavior is we want to look for the first opportunity to give them attention for positive behavior. So their misbehavior is telling us that our child wants attention, they need more attention. So we don't want to give the attention to the negative behavior, we want to get them to a place, and as soon as their behavior is productive or positive, we want to reinforce and give attention to that behavior. The second goal of misbehavior is power or control. And the way to know as a parent if that is the goal of my child's misbehavior, again, is to pay attention to my own feelings. And the feelings that we have, if their goal is power and control, is we feel angry. And so the solution to that is, or the reason for our child's behavior is because they feel like they don't have control over their own life, or they don't have choices over their own life. So again, if I'm feeling angry over their behavior, I want to look at what are ways in which I can give my child more power and more control. Now, as a parent, you're still the one responsible for them. You are still the person that gets to decide what are the rules in your house and how you expect or want your child to behave in your house. But within those boundaries, you can still give choices. For example, if it's time for your child to go to bed, you can announce to them a little bit beforehand. So let's say bedtime is at 8 o'clock and it's 7:45. So you could say to your child, Jimmy, do you want to go ahead and get ready for bed now, or do you want to wait until 8 o'clock? If we're trying to get our children to brush their teeth, instead of making an issue about you need to brush your teeth, you could say something like, do you want to put the toothpaste on the toothbrush, or would you like me to do it for you? So again, we're not even talking about brushing teeth, we're talking about something else. But it's giving your child a sense of control over their own life so they will not resist in the areas in our life where we, or in our home and in our rules with our children, where we have set those boundaries, and those are the non-negotiables. So look for ways or opportunities with your child to give them more choices in their life and see what that does to reduce some of those power struggles that you may be experiencing. Those are the two most common reasons for misbehavior. The third, though, is revenge. And revenge happens when children have experienced or felt hurt. So you may have heard the phrase that hurt people hurt people. And so oftentimes when our children have felt hurt, then they want to respond or react to that and attack back and to hurt others that are close to them in their life. So the best thing in that situation is to, again, paying attention to how you feel, and it's when you feel hurt. So if your child is doing or saying things to you that cause you to feel hurt, such as saying, I hate you, you're the worst parent that there is in the world, I wish that you weren't my parent, any of those things to where you feel hurt, you know that your child has felt hurt. So the best thing is to not react to that. Don't take it personally, but to realize that your child has been hurt, and then look for ways or opportunities to explore with them their feelings, where those feelings are coming from, identify the errors there, and replace those errors in their thinking with correct beliefs. The third reason for misbehavior is a display of inadequacy. And this is a situation where a child is become hopeless, discouraged, and don't feel like they can achieve or accomplish whatever it is that they want to accomplish. And again, as a parent, the way to know what the goal of their misbehavior is to pay attention to what I'm feeling. And when a child is in that place, then what the parent feels is the same type of feeling. So I'm feeling hopeless, discouraged, and like I want to give up, like I'm unable to help or fix my child. So when you recognize that, the solution then to the misbehavior is recognizing where my child is and looking for ways to encourage them. Now, encouragement is different than praise, but I want to look at ways to help my child understand who they really are, where their value comes from, what are some of the beliefs that they may have that are creating those feelings about themselves. So beliefs about failure, beliefs about what it takes to learn, that oftentimes to learn new skills and new behaviors, we have to fail at doing that. Learning to walk, we fall many times before we're able to walk without falling. Learning to ride a bike, we fall many times while we're learning to do that. So helping our child understand and recognize what are their beliefs that are creating that feeling of hopelessness and helping them to change that. So when your child is misbehaving and those misbehaviors are bothering you, these tools will help you to know how best to respond to your child, to not reinforce those negative behaviors, but look instead of what is the goal behind the behavior, and then what is the most effective way to respond in order to help our children learn new behaviors that will actually create the outcomes in life that they want instead of what they don't want. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you found this information helpful to you. If so, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to get updates of new videos.